Hey friend, I have a guided reading for you today. As always, feel free to gaze at the cards while I'm talking, see if anything tickles your own intuition. Remember, some things are going to resonate more and some things are going to resonate less, but the important part is that you are growing. So let's go ahead and get started. Guiding our reading today, we have Nellis the Alchemist. You have turned lead into gold. Something in your life that has been some sort of a challenge for your growth or, some sort of experience that you had that was difficult. You have done enough self work and transmutation right now that you have created something beautiful out of it. You have grown as a person to create something that you can really be proud of, that you can really enjoy. And it is just a product of the work that you have put into yourself and into your life. Starting out, I have the Three of Wands. So you're expecting something coming in, right? Starting with the Three of Wands kind of gives me the impression right now that you have something that you're really beginning to see the results on, right? You have the individual here, he's out looking at the ships on the horizon, them coming in. You have gotten to a point right now to where you're starting to see some sort of result for your efforts. And that is actually the balancing out of your energies, the balancing it out of your karmas. You have justice up next. Okay, what you are bringing in is what you deserve, not as a matter of like, oh, like I created this thing or did this thing and the universe is giving back to me, but because of what you are giving to yourself, right? You have come to a certain equilibrium and balance in yourself. That is the true justice. That is that karmic rebalancing, not as an external force, but as who you are and how you show up in life right at this time. Okay. Obviously, there is, some sort of a balancing act, right? We have the Two of Pentacles, and this is really kind of going in with the justice where I'm talking about how bringing yourself into a new certain kind of like equilibrium, that really is the payoff, because you are able to handle the ups and downs, because you are able to really manage your emotions and your thoughts, your work and your play, these types of things, keeping that balance. That's where you've come into that justice energy. That's where you've come to a point now where you are getting some sort of a benefit for the work that you've put into yourself or for the work of some project that you've created, right? Next up, I have the Fool. Okay, so when you've come into this new equilibrium, that was the world. That was you completing a cycle. So we're moving into the Fool means you're stepping into a new phase in your life. And you can see that now as a result of your actions, right? Obviously, you have certain amount of wisdom and knowledge that you bring with you from, your past experiences in life, but you're refreshed and you're renewed. Okay. Now, this newness, this freshness, what you're actually starting to attract in is some sort of a partnership, some sort of, working together with someone, right? The Three of Pentacles being that, the artisan here working with the wealthy individual and the priest that would be looking on in your Rider-Waite Smith deck. You now have somebody who wants to collaborate with you, or people who want to collaborate with you. It could be business, it could be love, it could be whatever, right? But whatever it is that you've created for yourself, somebody else sees your prosperity, sees your success, and it's similar enough to their own goals and values that they, might be approaching you saying, hey, let's work together on this thing. Let's do something together so that we can both benefit mutually, right? And you're kind of coming to this peace with yourself, right? Strength really is that, the courage, the gentleness, the ability to know and have the confidence and strengthen yourself without having to be forceful, without having to be like, I have to make things happen a certain way, or I have to really put in all this extra effort, right? So no hustle and grind and strength. Strength really is that gentleness and moving with life and the power that life has available to you. So that equilibrium, that balance, that justice that you've created in your life creates a certain peace in you, right? Creates this baseline of where you have this calm confidence, you have this peaceful, courageous confidence in yourself and what you're able to do in life. And when you come to this calm, when you come to this peace and you really kind of settle into it, your intuition opens up, right? We have the High Priestess. Now you have the ability to navigate your inner world. You have the ability to trust your own guidance, to trust your own path, right? You know yourself, right? The high priestess here, you see she's got her book and she's got her crystal ball, right? So you have the logical knowledge, but then you also have the insight that has come from looking within. And when you step into this guidance, when you step into this equilibrium that really kind of lets you kind of understand things about yourself, understand things about your path, that's when you come into a self sovereignty. Because next up, I have the emperor. All right. The emperor is that person who, they balance themselves out, right? He's all the kings, or, he could be all the queens. Of course, the empress could be all the queens, but you are this self sovereign individual. You realize how the pieces work together. You realize how the effort that you've put in to grow as a person brings you into this point where you could really create some sort of a strong empire foundation for yourself. Whatever you're building, whatever you're growing in your life, is solid, consistent, and reliable, and you have that mastery over all the different elements. You have that mastery over your thoughts, your passions, your emotions, and the actions that you can take in your life in order to create something that you can be very proud of, something that you can be very sustained in and feel good about, right? With our emperor, right? And when you have that self-sovereignty that comes from that peace, that comes from that equilibrium that has come about as a result of you pouring into yourself, you doing that alchemical work, that's when things really start to take off. That's when things really start to expand, right? Our Eight of Wands, that is that rapid movement, is that Jupiter energy where, you are moving from one possibility into a far greater and vaster possibility, and things are moving fast. It's interesting. I say things are moving fast, though, because up next I have the King of Pentacles, right? King of Pentacles being that steady, putting in the work each day. Obviously, you still have to put in work, right? If you are somebody who has been working out, you don't just stop working out, you continue to work out. Or if you're somebody who has a business, you show up each day, you really are consistent and reliable, and you have that ability to manage your resources and your time very effectively in order to get your success, right? You have created some sort of a structure for yourself, some sort of, hope, some sort of connection, right? We have the Hierophant being that, structure allowing them to connect to their higher self, right? Whereas the High Priestess is that fluid kind of an energy. The Hierophant comes from tradition, right? The Hierophant has, certain, correspondences and laws that they understand that really kind of help them to navigate and understand the spiritual realm and ground it down into a more practical, physical kind of level. So you have this practicality, right, that comes with the King of Pentacles, but because the Hierophant was next after it, this really gives me a sense that, like, you're grounding your spirituality, you're grounding your spirit or your sense of yourself and your inner being down into your reality, and you're starting to see like your purpose and your mission, or at least enough of it to where you can move forward confidently with that, and always be aware that you have that connection. It kind of really allows you to operate from that. There is this give and take, right? The Six of Pentacles, that is our charity card. That could be an exchange where, you give to someone, someone gives to you. There is that exchange back and forth between you and your higher self, between you and your higher power, your guides and yourself. However you really look at that connection, right? There's that dialogue, that exchange where you take a step and then the universe takes a step, and you take a step and the universe takes a step, all right? And you are pregnant with some possibility, because we do in fact have the Empress up next, okay? So you because you have this new thing, because you have this equilibrium in yourself and you're trusting your intuition and you're really able to take solid, consistent action, you are starting to grow something beautiful and new, okay? When you look at the Empress here, you see her spinning on this wheel. The wheel is that zodiac wheel, right? You have the ability to take the elements of your life, to take your experiences and really kind of use them to weave what you want for yourself, and you have something that you are ready to give birth to. You have something that you are ready to really bring out into the world, to share with others, something beautiful, right? That new birth. Now, Previously in the past, maybe you might have felt stuck, right? We have the Eight of Swords. Whenever the Eight of Swords comes up to me, this really is a great opportunity card, right? This is a chance for you to realize that you can take the blindfolds off, you can take the bindings off, you can step away from the swords here, right? You now understand that you are not limited, you're not bound, that any of the things in your life previously that had inhibited you or really kept you feeling stuck, that you are able to move them. You know this because you've successfully been doing that removal. You've been successfully stepping away from the preconceived limitations that you had before. Sometimes the energy of the devil might come up, right? There are temptations, right? Obviously, being human beings, being here in this physical realm, there are still going to be, challenges. There's still going to be temptation. But when we look at the devil card here, right, you see this box being chained. It's not the people that are chained. Whenever a temptation comes up, you see the possibility for the light, right? The guy, he's reaching out toward the light at the end of the tunnel. Simply the fact of the matter is now, whenever anything comes up that would have been a challenge for you before, it would have been a temptation for you before, you now see that there is a possibility. You now see that what you thought you were reaching for with the treasure was really that light, was that freedom and that open air you see at the end of the tunnel, right? And then next up, I have the Knight of Cups. Okay, so this could be romance, this could be a potential partner coming up, or it could just be you falling in love with life again, right? Because you have gotten to a point where you understand you're part of it. You've gotten to a point where you understand that life really supports you. So there is that joy, there is that, you know, connectedness, that, love, that passion that comes with the Knight of Cups. And sometimes things might move a little bit swiftly. Okay, we have the Knight of Swords. So if there is a new partner for you, whether it being romantic or if you got a business partner or new friends, whatever the case being, things are going to move quickly. Things are going to be able to move swiftly because you have done the work that you don't have to stay in the old world, right? You don't have to stay stuck right here in the tunnel, right? The guy, he's reaching out toward the light. He's reaching out toward the open air. And when you reach out and toward that open air, you can take off your ideas, your freedom. You're going to really feel yourself, elevate and feeling power, right? Knight of Swords, you see his sword here. It's got the lightning bolt. So you know you have the power. You know you have what it takes not only to create and live your life the way you want, but that there is a certain expansiveness to it and that there's a certain freedom and exploration that you can have with that. And that came about because of this Queen of Swords energy. The Queen of Swords, yes, she is that, people would say the Witch of the Tarot with a B, right? But the reality is she's actually a really sweet person. She's a really good friend, but she's just clear on her boundaries. She's clear on what she can and can't do. And you were clear on those boundaries with yourself of what was not okay, what is okay. Maybe if you had certain patterns and behaviors that had held you back before, you were able to be clear enough with yourself to say, I'm going to make a different decision. I'm going to choose a different way of being, right? And then you look at her robes. She's got the butterflies and the clouds and that beautiful night sky above the clouds. That kind of speaks to me a little bit of that duality of like, there is that clarity, there is that, that structure and these defined lines, but that is what allows you to be able to really be free, right? If you're able to say no to things that aren't good for you, if you're able to say no to things that are harmful for you, then you are in fact also able to say yes to the things you want. You are able to say yes to the light and the love and the joy and the freedom and the expansion that you've really been creating for yourself. And it is time for that, right? You have created gold out of that lead. All right, friend, I hope this is encouraging for you. If it was, go ahead and leave a like for me. If you're not subscribed already, I would love it if you would subscribe. You could drop me a comment. If you don't know what to comment, you could leave a sunflower emoji. That's a spirit guide of mine. Let me know that you see me. In case you haven't heard, I actually also do short stories and fairy tales interpreted through the tarot. So check this video out here. You might like it. Or you can go into this playlist right here, see if there's any other tarot readings that might resonate with you, and I will see you in the next one.